Spoiler warning for anime onlys, I will be going into very big manga spoilers in this video and webcomic spoilers, so beware from this point on. Garou is a lot more dangerous than you think, and I know I've made quite a lot of videos on Garou, and that is due to the simple fact that Garou is just very interesting to not only analyze and talk about, but to also theorize about. I've made multiple videos on Garou, an example being Garou's final form, why Garou is a fan favorite character, and the list goes on. Now, I'm sure everyone who keeps up with specifically the One Punch Man manga can all definitely agree that Garou is definitely one of the strongest characters we have seen so far in the series. And just a quick spoiler alert for the manga readers, I will be talking about, the webcomic, so yeah. For the ones that read the webcomic, we all know that Garou is the strongest foe Saitama has faced so far, and I know 2 new chapters of the webcomic just came out, and I will be talking about them but not making specific reviews about them because I was actually pretty late to actually reading them. But as I was saying, the title of the video says it all. In this video, I will be talking about why Garou in One Punch Man is a lot more dangerous than most people think, and what exactly makes Garou so dangerous as an antagonist. But before we get into all that, consider leaving a like on the video. And now that's finally out of the way, let's get into the damn video. Now, the last time we saw Garou was in chapter 136 of the manga, and in that chapter he was in pretty bad shape overall, but that was only after his intense fight against Darkshine. Garou in this chapter looked like he was pretty much on the verge of death, and that leads perfectly to my next topic of discussion, which is one of the many reasons Garou is so dangerous, which is because of his sheer will to live and make his ideals come to fruition. Garou, as we all know, after a near-death experience gets even stronger every time, and with this rare ability, after many near-death experiences, Garou during his fight against Darkshine seemingly broke his limiter, which most likely means from now on Garou will not only just get stronger, but will be able to grow stronger to the point that he defies the physical limitations of any being similar to Saitama. Garou with his ability has unlimited potential, and I dare say with some more experience with a broken limiter can actually achieve similar feats to Saitama. Now, I will be going into a bit of spoilers for the webcomic, so skip to the time frame shown on the screen right now if you haven't read the webcomic for One Punch Man. So, as us webcomic readers know, Garou did end up losing to Saitama in the end, which I'm sure we kind of all saw coming. Garou mainly lost this fight for 2 reasons. The first reason he lost this fight is due to the simple fact that Saitama was just stronger in every single way. Although Garou had broken his limiter, he was still in the early stages of this form, more commonly known as Awakened Garou. If Garou had at least had a few more months to get used to this awakened form, I'm sure the fight would have been a lot closer than it ended up being. And considering how fast Garou can adapt to new things, especially when it comes to fighting, I wouldn't be surprised if Garou could almost master this awakened form in just a few months. Now, the second reason Garou lost is due to Saitama literally shattering his mental state by challenging his idea of him wanting to be a monster, and instead said Garou wanted to be a hero, but thought being a monster was easier, which when you really look at it in hindsight is very true. Garou always wanted to be a monster, but we've seen time and time again that Garou actually showed disdain towards the way monsters behave. This statement from Garou kind of killed Garou's motivation and kind of just broke his mental state, and he didn't really know what he was actually fighting for. And bear in mind, as I said earlier in this video, Garou's will is one of his biggest assets, and when you take that away from him, it's almost impossible for Garou to win a fight against a tough opponent who is not only no doubt stronger than him, but has been able to shatter his will and reason to fight. But now we will be going back to discussing about Garou in the manga. So as I was saying before I went into webcomic stuff, Garou, in my opinion, with more experience with a limiter, could definitely pose as somewhat of a challenge to Saitama in a one-on-one fight. Which leads to my next point about how dangerous Garou's adaptability is. The fact that Garou can adapt to any fighting style or any fighting area is something I just cannot look over when discussing how dangerous Garou is. Garou has adopted many different fighting styles from when we were ever introduced to him in the manga. An example of a very useful fighting style that he still uses to this day is Watchdog Man's style of fighting. In his first encounter with Watchdog Man, he lost the fight, but in hindsight this was a loss Garou more than and learned from. Garou after this fight grew tremendously to the point that he was able to fight and win against multiple A-class and B-class heroes at once, whilst at the same time already being, severely injured, which is where we see Garou's first sign of being a very dangerous character in the long run. Now, although Garou is mainly a hand-to-hand combatant, he still shows that he is able to fight against monsters that can use projectiles, such as in his fight against Genos and in his fight against Orochi. Garou is someone whose only weakness is his mindset. Garou does tend to take too much he can handle at times, which is also a problem that is ultimately linked to his mindset, because normally when Garou gets gravely injured, it's when he is not exactly in the right frame of mind, and he ends up fighting multiple tough opponents in a day without little to no rest. The next thing about Garou I really want to talk about is his physical prowess and how ridiculous his physical abilities are. Garou, being a hand-to-hand combatant, is bound to get severe injuries during tough fights due to him having to get up close and personal. And in many other hand-to-hand combatant cases, this would be a big negative, but in Garou's case, this is more of a positive because of his rare ability he developed due to having an indomitable will, which is to get stronger after a near-death experience. Garou can take physical damage to the point of near death, but after he comes back stronger, faster, more durable, and has quicker reflexes, and this is just a rinse and repeat cycle that we have seen multiple times during One Punch Man. His physical prowess combined with his rare ability to get stronger after near death is a deadly combination that possesses a threat to any of the top tier characters in One Punch Man, such as Boros, Tatsumaki, Blast, Saikorochi, and finally, of course, the man himself, Saitama. Now, Garou has many techniques that I would love to cover, but of course I cannot cover all of them in this video because, time, and I can't really cover every single one because he has a fuck ton of abilities. But there were two techniques, or should I say two abilities, that really stood out to me, which were called abandonment and regeneration. So let's start with abandonment, shall we? Now, this ability allows Garou to remove all restrictions that he has placed on his mind, and when these restrictions are removed, his mobility and agility are heightened, which is an ability I feel like could compensate for his overly shaky mindset. This ability obviously was kind of a, early stage of being able to surpass his usual limitations, but although this ability isn't necessarily stated to help Garou's overall mindset, I assume this ability puts him in sort of like a Zen mode where his mind is blank and is kind of letting the sheer power of his body do all the work. This ability was definitely one that stood out to me, so you already know I had to mention it in this video. Now, the second and final ability that piqued my interest and highlighted the danger of Garou is his regeneration. Now this regeneration is not the same level as Boros when it comes to how quickly he can regenerate his whole body, but this is kind of a slower version where he can kind of regenerate medium to minor internal and external injuries. This ability, although not being on the same level as Boros, is definitely something that shouldn't be taken lightly on top of his already augmented endurance and durability. And to be honest, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm sure this video could convince pretty much anyone that Garou is a lot more dangerous than we initially thought. But apart from that, if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on and set to all if you want to be notified whenever I release a One Punch Man video or a My Hero Academia video or whatever type of video I release on the channel. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video. Yeah.